You know, everything that we're seeing happening right now is spiritual, whether you want to believe it or not. I saw this video, right? School board cuts dad off when he reads the very book that is in the school library for 10-year-olds. Now, I want to show you this video, and I also want to show you a few other stories that I came across, because here's what I've been thinking. We've never been closer to what the Bible describes as the end times than right now, in my opinion. You may or may not agree with that. But look at all the evilness, all the wickedness that we're seeing all around us. And I think the reason for that is largely because of social media, because of the internet, because of how fast information can travel. And that could be a good thing, but that could also be a very bad thing, especially when you understand that the large majority of users on social media are children, or they're very young adults who, quite frankly, are still developing and growing and maturing themselves. So the enemy has so many opportunities to plant these seeds inside of our children, inside of our young adults, that could ultimately shape the future. And that's what we're seeing happening right now. So I want to start out with this video of a pastor reading a very perverted book that could be found in the library for 10-year-olds to consume. Take a listen.
My last name is Amanchukwu. It means I know God, and I'm glad to say that I do. I'm here today to talk about this book here. My name is John Amanchukwu, as I stated earlier. It's called It's Perfectly Normal for Students 10 and Up. This book details all kinds of sexual images, pictures of elderly people nude, pictures of an individual who's in a wheelchair with his penis out. All of these sexual pornographic images are made available and placed at the fingertips of children. And I'm sure, Dr. Cruz, I don't know if you knew about this before you signed on, but hopefully this is something that you can address and deal with, because this is immoral and asinine to allow children to be able to see this. Also, this book even shows images of two women having sex, a man and a woman having sex, and two men having sex. That's not perfectly normal. Who decides what's normal? Is it you? Is it you? Is it you? Is it you? Or do parents decide what should be placed at the fingertips and allowed to be taught to their children in the school system? I'll read some of this for you. It says, after a bit, a person's vagina becomes moist and slippery, and the clitoris becomes hard.
This is a children's book, y'all. This is a book specifically written for children. Just keep that in mind.
After a bit, a person's penis becomes erect, stiff, and larger.
Pastor.
Sometimes a bit of clear fluid that may contain a few sperm comes out of the tip of the penis and makes it wet.
Can we, sir, I'm sorry.
Was it something I said? Was it something I said? If you don't want to hear it in a school board meeting, why should children be able to check it out of the school system? You see, we have perverts that are perverting our kids. And you all sit back smug in your chairs and celebrate diversity, equity, and inclusion, but you don't want me to read it so you can hear it. Why? Does it bother you? Yes or no? You can't answer that question. You want to know why? Because politically speaking, you can't say that it's wrong. You probably are a Christian man, but many Christians today have become more Democrat than Christian. Some Republicans have become more Republican than Christian. I'm not trying to win an election. I don't get my talking points from the RNC or the DNC. I get my talking points from the Bible, from the Bible. And you don't want me to read the filth because it exposes the truth. How dare you tell me to stop reading it? If you don't want to hear it, why should The children have to see it.
Pastor, your time is up. Thank you.
That makes two of us.
You know what I was just reading, like moments before I turned this camera on, was Psalms 127. It says, verse 3, children are a gift from the Lord. They are a reward from him. Children are a gift and a reward from God. And even deeper into this verse, there was a part of this study Bible that I was reading that said that children are an opportunity to shape the future. Children are an opportunity to shape the future. I found that so interesting. Children are an opportunity to shape the future. You don't think the devil knows that? You don't think the enemy knows that? That's why I said everything that's happening right now is spiritual. If the enemy can get to a child at early stages and plant a seed of perversion, of doubt, of confusion, and allow that seed to grow over time, then the enemy can create a society of people who hate God, who want nothing to do with God, who are rebellious towards God. If the enemy hates God as much as the enemy does, then don't you think that the enemy is going to hate any type of gift or reward that comes from God? Psalm 127 verse 3, children are a gift from the Lord. They are a reward from him. The enemy is working double time, overtime, triple time to plant these seeds into the minds of our children. And we have to be very mindful of what's happening and not be blind to it. We have to be able to step up and call evil, evil, and not act like evil is good, like so many of these people are doing. We can't fall into this political mindset of thinking, oh, well, I'm a Democrat, so I can't speak out against those things. Or I'm a Republican, so I can't speak out against those things. You have to be a child of God first. Your identity has to be in Christ first. Otherwise, your eyesight is going to be clouded. And the last thing you need right now is a clouded vision while the enemy is literally on the attack, trying to shape the minds and the future of our children. Now, I saw this other story. That I want to show you. It says Los Angeles Dodgers remove gay nun group from Pride Night. Now, I guess the Los Angeles Dodgers have been doing this thing each year. I don't know how far back it started, but they've been doing this thing where they have a Pride Night. And they invite different people from the Pride community, from the LGBT community, to come onto the baseball field and have this whole festival, this whole event celebrating gay pride, essentially. But I guess what happened is there was a group of drag queens that were, or a group of dairy queens, that were invited to this Pride Night, but it was later found that they were mocking Christianity, and even more specifically, they were mocking Catholicism, and they were wearing these types of outfits, and they were just mocking the religion that so many people find to be so sacred. And as a result, they removed these individuals from their Pride Night festivities. Now, the part that was so interesting to me, because I'm not surprised that you know, these individuals are mocking religion or mocking God or mocking Christianity. I'm not surprised at that. The part that was a little bit surprising to me was the backlash that the Dodgers received as a result of removing this nun group from Pride Night. A lot of people are coming for the Dodgers and are very upset that they removed these gay nuns, these gay Dairy Queen nuns from Pride Night. And when I say Dairy Queen, I'm not trying to be like rude when I say Dairy Queen. I'm just saying Dairy Queen just because I don't want YouTube to freak out that I'm saying, you know, drag queen too much. So don't overthink it. All right. But now look at where we are in a society. Now we're in a society where essentially these individuals on this, you know, LGBT side, they want to be able to say whatever, do whatever, mock whatever, even if that includes religion and God. And they don't want to have any consequences for that. And if you do step out and say, hey, what you're doing is not right, then all of the sudden, we are the bad guys. We're looked at as non-inclusive. How does that make sense? How does that make sense? Why do we have to have a gay nun group of Dairy Queens associated with a professional sports team in the first place? How do those two things even equate in any way, shape, or form? It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. Even further, now this one might be a little disturbing for some people, but we've got Adidas. I want you to look at something very important here. I'm going to make this full screen. I want you to look at something very important. I don't know if you can see it on the top right of the screen. This is their Pride swimsuit from Adidas, right? But this is specifically made for women. This is a women's swimsuit. So Adidas is selling a women's swimsuit with a male model in the swimsuit. This is where we're at as a society. This is where we are at as a society. And this is all over Adidas's website. It's not hard to find. You go to adidas.com. This is one of the first things that you're going to see. At what point are we going to wake up? At what point are we going to realize that we're living a lie? At what point are we going to realize that we're going to become a society that no longer exists? That we're going to become a society that is so far left behind and literally cannot reproduce? Because we have all these men thinking that they're women and all these women thinking that they're men. When are we going to wake up? Have you seen this story? Have you seen the very gay raptor? So Ford is now advertising, and this is on their YouTube channel. I believe that this is going to be a television commercial as well. So stay tuned and pay attention. If you're watching TV with your children, you might see a very gay raptor commercial from Ford. And this is not fake. This is real. Go on YouTube. You can watch the full commercial. But now Ford is getting into the game and they're showing their true colors. They're showing their cards. The part that I thought was most interesting about this was there's a part at the end of the commercial, and I'm not going to show the commercial just for copyright reasons, but you can go watch it on YouTube if you want to. But there's a part at the very end of the commercial right here, right there. I don't know if you caught it or not. Let me run it back. Right there. Can you see what that says? Can you read what that says? Let me run it back. Redefining tough. redefining tough. And the words tough are draped in the pride flag. Redefining tough. We live in a society that wants us to completely redefine the most basic principles that have been held to be true since the beginning of time. Now we live in a society that wants us to think that these things are no longer true. And now Ford is redefining tough. Now it's considered tough to be a part of that community. Now it's considered tough. That's considered living your truth. That's considered loving and accepting. I don't know if y'all see what's going on. I don't know if y'all are fully aware of the times that we're living in. But I just want to give y'all one last reminder. This is 2 Timothy chapter 3. And I know I've read this verse several times before. But 2 Timothy 3, verse 3. I'll highlight it. It says, they will be unloving and unforgiving. So this is talking about in the last days. In the last days, they will be unloving and unforgiving. They will slander others and have no self-control. They will be cruel and hate what is good. They will betray their friends, be reckless, be puffed up with pride. Listen to this part. And love pleasure rather than God. They will act religious, but they will reject the power that could make them godly. Stay away from people like that. I think even just those two verses really encapsulate a lot of what we're seeing happening right now throughout this world, throughout the media, throughout America. It seems like specifically America is becoming more and more like this. I don't know how it is in other cultures, other communities, other countries, but it seems like America is becoming more and more rebellious towards God, more and more puffed up with pride, more and more in love with their pleasure rather than God. We have people who are out here worshiping the creation rather than the creator. And they think that's a good thing. They think that's what they're supposed to be doing. We have these churches that are acting religious. We have all of these open and affirming churches who are literally affirming sin. We have churches that are literally affirming sin, that are allowing openly sinful individuals who have no intention of turning from their sin and repenting. They're allowing those individuals to lead and preach on a Sunday. Verse 5, they will act religious. They're acting religious, but ultimately they reject the power that could make them godly. These open and affirming churches, they're rejecting the power that could make them godly. They're rejecting the transformational power that God has to take you from one place, a sinful and wicked place, and bring you into a holy and righteous place and cleanse you of your sin. They're rejecting that power because they're more in love with their pleasure rather than God. Let me know what y'all think. Get in my comments. Let me know what you think about this video, about these stories. Like this video if you would like to support the channel. And last but not least, thank you. Thank you for all the support up until this point. And I just hope that, through this video that we can just open our eyes and be aware of what's happening so that we can take control and so that we can fully operate in the authority that God has given us to have the victory over the enemy. All right? I'm out, y'all.